The Bride made a feminist Frankenstein movie that bombed at the box office and divided critics, but it's way more interesting than you think. Let me explain why. Three bold decisions make this film unforgettable. Two major problems sink it, and an ending so ambiguous that not even the director will give you a straight answer. I also explain the true meaning of that final scene. If you're interested in this chaos and ambition, I'll break it all down below. First, let's talk about what this movie actually is. The Bride is a loose remake of Bride of Frankenstein from 1935, but set in 1930s Chicago. The Frankenstein monster, now called Frank and played by Bale, is living among humans, lonely and desperate for companionship. He asks Dr. Euphronius, a brilliant scientist played by Annette Bening, to create a bride for him. They dig up the corpse of a young woman named Ida and bring her back to life. But here's the twist. Ida is possessed by the spirit of Mary Shelley herself, the author of Frankenstein. Shelley uses Ida's body to tell the story she always wanted to tell, a story where the woman isn't just a prize for the monster, but her own person with agency and desires. What follows is a wild mix of romance, crime, revolution, and existential chaos. The Bride, played brilliantly by Jessie Buckley, becomes a problem instead of a solution. She doesn't want to belong to anyone. She wants her own identity. And that desire sets off a chain reaction involving the mob, corrupt cops, and a social uprising. Visually and tonally, this movie is all over the place. It's got noir detective vibes, Joker-style chaos, gothic Batman aesthetics, and even echoes of Bonnie and Clyde. Director Maggie Gyllenhaal throws everything at the wall. Michael Jackson thriller, Harley Quinn energy, Poor Things comparisons. And some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. Here's what's great about The Bride. It's bold, personal, and unapologetically feminist. Gyllenhaal isn't interested in playing it safe. This is a movie with a point of view, and it commits to that vision even when it gets messy. Jessie Buckley is phenomenal. She plays the bride with unpredictability, rage, and vulnerability. The character is called a monster and a madwoman, labels that have been thrown at feminists throughout history. Buckley embodies that defiance. Her performance alone makes the movie worth watching. Bale is also fantastic. Frank isn't the typical Frankenstein monster. He's adapted to society, but he's still lonely and desperate for love. Bale plays him with surprising tenderness. The dynamic between Frank and the bride is the heart of the film. He wants a traditional companion who'll stay by his side. She wants freedom. Their relationship becomes a fascinating exploration of control, love, and identity. The film's feminist message is its strongest element. The bride's body was resurrected to make a man happy, but instead she becomes a vessel for a woman, Mary Shelley, to speak truths she never got to say in her lifetime. The movie asks, what happens when a woman refuses to play the role assigned to her? The answer is chaos, rebellion, and liberation. And thematically, it's smart. The most important line in the film is when the bride says, "I would prefer not to." It's a refusal to belong, to be owned, to submit. That's the beating heart of this story. Now, the problems. And there are big ones. The movie is overstuffed. Gyllenhaal throws in the mob, corrupt detectives, hitmen, revolution, romance, Mary Shelley's ghost, and about 10 other subplots. At 2 hours long, it feels bloated. Many of these narrative threads don't go anywhere meaningful. They take up space without adding depth. The third act falls apart, not as catastrophically as Joker Folie à Deux, but it loses focus. The pacing drags. The film repeats its themes instead of trusting the audience to get it. You start thinking, okay, I understand the point. Can we move on? The references are excessive. Yes, postmodern filmmaking thrives on homage, but The Bride feels stitched together from other movies, literally like Frankenstein's monster. Sometimes that works. Other times it feels like Gyllenhaal couldn't decide what kind of film she was making, so she made all of them at once. And tonally, it's inconsistent. Is this a gothic horror, a noir crime film, a romantic tragedy, a revolutionary manifesto? It's all of those things, and that lack of focus weakens the impact. Critics and audiences were divided because the film doesn't fit neatly into any box. Some will love that, others will find it frustrating. The box office failure and mixed reviews aren't surprising. This is a personal, experimental film with a massive Warner Brothers budget. It's too weird for mainstream audiences and too messy for intellectual critics who dismissed it as style over substance. Okay, spoiler warning. From here on, I'm explaining the ending. If you haven't seen the movie and want to go blind, stop now. Last chance. Here we go. The climax happens in Dr. Euphronius's lab. After a violent confrontation with the police, both Frank and the bride are shot and killed. It looks like a tragic ending, two monsters who never fit into the human world dying together. But then, in the final scene, a lightning bolt strikes the lab. On the operating table, Frank and the bride's hands move. They reach out and clasp together. The implication, they're coming back to life. Again. So what does this mean? Director Maggie Gyllenhaal has said the ending is intentionally ambiguous. She doesn't want to give you a clear answer. Instead, she wants you to think about identity, memory, and love. Here's the key detail. When the bride was first resurrected at the beginning of the film, she lost all her memories. She didn't remember who Ida was. She had to build a new identity from scratch. So if Frank and the bride are resurrected again, logically, they'll lose their memories again. They won't remember each other. They won't remember their love. That's heartbreaking. But Gyllenhaal sees it differently. She says the ending isn't about whether they get a happy ending, it's about the act of resurrection itself, the collective effort to bring them back to life. Detective Myrna, played by Penelope Cruz, gives Dr. Euphronius the time she needs. A group of women, Mary Shelley, Myrna, Greta, and Euphronius, decide to give the bride another chance at life. For Gyllenhaal, that's what matters. Not the destination, but the gesture, the solidarity, the refusal to let the bride and Frank stay dead. It's symbolic. It's about women reclaiming a story, rewriting a myth, and choosing life over tragedy. But here's my take. The ending is bittersweet at best. Yes, they might come back, but if they don't remember each other, is it really a reunion, or is it just two strangers starting over? That ambiguity is either brilliant or frustrating, depending on how you feel about open endings. So is The Bride worth watching? If you love ambitious, messy, personal filmmaking, yes. If you appreciate bold feminist reinterpretations of classic stories, absolutely. Jessie Buckley and Bale deliver incredible performances. The visuals are striking, the themes are compelling. But if you want the tight, focused narrative, you'll be frustrated. The film is overstuffed, uneven, and indulgent. It's not for everyone. But it's the kind of swing for the fences filmmaking we don't see enough of. Final rating, 3 out of 5 stars. Flawed, but fascinating. If this helped you understand The Bride, hit like and subscribe. Let me know, did you love the ending or hate it? And should Maggie Gyllenhaal make a sequel? I'll see you in the next one.